Hello everyone, today is 16th of September. Now it's 15 past 10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. Although before I start, let me make a little announcement, which is that from today, my second updates that are usually made in walk and talk style will be published on my Patreon and Boosty pages, and I hope these changes in programming will help me to generate additional interest among our bigger community towards my Patreon and Boosty page, because quite often, every single week, dear friends, there are days when no matter how many updates I'm gonna make, I don't have even a single donation through PayPal or Boosty or crypto, and it is becoming more and more difficult to maintain this program. I mean, just as an example, by the way, right now in upcoming days I have to invest another $200 or $300 to equipment, because as you can see, lighting is not okay, sound is not okay. Sometime in a relatively short near future I have to buy notebook that will be more capable, because this one this one served well, but it is time for this notebook, I guess, to retire, because there's quite often some issues there. So as you can see, and then meanwhile, by the way, I have a paid subscription on Rumble, on X, on map. I have to pay for a map. I have to pay for this goddamn VPN from Kaspersky, and they are, I mean, they're spendings that are unavoidable in any business, right? And I have to start treat this project as a business. Otherwise I just would not be able to continue this work. So therefore, there will be second updates on my Patreon and Boosty pages, and quite a number of additional extra videos there, and I hope new members of our community, and maybe all the ones that did not even consider to support my work, will consider it now, and will subscribe to my Patreon and Boosty page. Subscription starts from $5, dear friends, and it may not be on Patreon, and about $6 on Boosty. It may not be like big sum, I understand that, but if 50 or 100 people will subscribe, overall it will generate enough income to at least to deal with this monthly spendings that I have to just to maintain this programming, internet and all that, everything, man. I'm just a little sick and tired to talk about this financial stuff every other day, and maybe I will just find a really day work, day job. Moscow provides great opportunities on that, and I will just work on Patreon and Boosty, and there will be no more videos on YouTube and Rumble, because it just takes too much time, man, too much time. And when you are making 2 updates right a day, which means that you are right next to the notebook literally all day and preparing programs, and you are trying to keep updated Telegram page, and you are not receiving even single donation, so you work all day and you did not even made a single dollar. That's quite discouraging. Let's be honest, you know, it's not okay. It should not be that way, but I mean, it is what it is, man. I'm grateful to everybody who supported my work and continues to support her, and I hope I'm providing good enough programs so that more people will join our communities on Patreon, on Boosty, and more people will consider to support this work, because I mean, everybody is talking about Russia right nowadays, and it's gonna stay this way for forever, I guess. And very few channels really are from Russia, and very few authors on those channels are living in Russia. In my case, in Moscow. So it is what it is, dear friends. Sorry for a long intro, but I mean, I have to address these issues time to time. For example, yesterday, not single donation. It was Sunday. Still, I made the update. And why? Why I did it? You know. So yes, okay. After all, dear friends, we had a good run, isn't it? We had a good run. At one point, even if I will find job and I will stop making videos on YouTube and Rumble, at least we had a good time, isn't it? We tried, and you know, hopefully with the day job I will have enough time to continue make programs for Patreon and Rumble. Anyways, that's being said, let's talk about news now. And you know what? It is also kind of strange that I see so many channels, by the way, on YouTube that are making millions, right? And they have constant mistakes, by the way. I watch those channels. I don't want to name, but there are plenty of channels that are making that. They talk about Russia. They talk about whatever topics about Russia, economy, political stuff. They talk about Ukraine crisis, BRICS, and so on, and they make so many factual mistakes, which demonstrates that they just don't know what they are talking about. And still, those channels somehow have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they make millions. And me here in Russia, with the journalistic education, with the more or less okay level of knowledge of what the hell is going on, struggling to maintain this project. I mean, what the hell, man, really. But anyways, okay, I mean, it is what it is, man. What you gonna do? This is life, isn't it? So yes, dear friends, if you can, please consider to join our community on Patreon and Rumble. We are a very friendly community there, by the way. Like entire bigger our community is extremely friendly on YouTube and Rumble, obviously. And Boosty also. Although on Boosty I only have 10 subscribers. I don't know why, but majority of you, for whatever reason, did not really like that Boosty platform. But anyways, okay, let's talk about news. Let's talk about the news, and first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. And well, we have some interesting developments, important developments that are taking place. And for example, in Zaporozhye sector of the front line, Russian armed forces, after relatively longer operational pause, are active again, and reports are coming in about Russian local scale offensive operations on the western flank of Zaporozhye sector of the front line. And reports are coming in about improvement of the Russian positions in Kamenskaya direction. Russian troops also further improving positions in Rabotina area, obviously, Pitikhatki area, which is interesting because this may be an indicator that either Russian armed forces are conducting preventive operations, because they know Kyiv regime has concentrated significant number of troops in this direction to conduct offensive towards Energodar in Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and we are now with this activity of the Russian troops, we are observing these countermeasures, or maybe it's Russian forces that are planning to conduct offensive operations in the Zaporozhye sector of the front line. Difficult to say, obviously, but what we know for sure is that Russian armed forces become significantly more active in this direction. When it comes to Donetsk sector of the front line, we have an important update, which is that Russian armed forces establish full control over the Donbass Yuzhno-Donetsk mine, coal mine number 3, which is this area, by the way. This was a stronghold of the Kyiv regime, and it was obvious that after Russian troops established control of the Vadiana settlement, it will not take too long before Yuzhno-Donetsk coal mine will become under Russian control. And just take a look at the map, by the way. Ugledar is definitely under at least partial encirclement right now, and I guess in upcoming days we will see that situation for Kyiv regime's garrison in Ugledar will further deteriorate significantly, and things may go down so badly for Kyiv regime that Ugledar garrison may even run away from the city without even giving a fight. This might sound like some fantastic scenario, but well, they are getting encircled, by the way, and if we take into account low morale among Kyiv regime's forces, then it is quite possible that significant number of troops will leave, of the Kyiv regime troops will leave their positions even without order and will run away. Let's see. Next couple of weeks will give us more understanding of the situation there. Also, Russian troops are further improving positions on the northern side of Vadiana, in between Vadiana and Konstantinovka, and I guess it is only a matter of a couple of weeks, and all these fields between Vadiana and Konstantinovka will become under full Russian control, and Russian armed forces will start operations to liberate Katerinovka and Antonovka settlements. So when it comes to Pokrovsk sector of the front line, Russian armed forces further improving positions in this direction, and their main hotspot right now is Ukrainsk, of course, which is mainly controlled by Russian forces, although there are some reports that Kyiv regime still has its presence in this area, on this Terikon, for example, although I guess a couple of more days and their entire settlement, including this Terikon or landfill, will become under full Russian control, and then most likely we will see Russian offensive inside their Selidova. Russian troops probably, after establishing full control over their Ukrainsk, will establish control over this settlement, Tsukurina. Also, Russian troops probably will move towards this settlement, Garnyak, and Selidova after that will be in partial encirclement, and I guess it will not take long for Russian troops to establish control over that relatively big town. No crucial changes on Pokrovsk-Mirnograd direction, which is quite understandable after significant progress of the Russian armed forces in this area. Obviously, time is needed for reinforcement, for establishing new lines of communication, new lines of supply and support, and after all, Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration is a quite huge one, and of course, without proper readiness, proper preparation, you're not going to conduct an offensive in direction of these two cities. And one should keep in mind that Kyiv regime deployed additional reinforcements towards these two cities. It will not help Kyiv regime at all, and of course, Russian troops will liberate both those towns, but for now, it seems like operational pause is holding in that area. Also, we have reports about further progress of the Russian armed forces on the northern and the southern sides of Chisov Yar, and this pincer movement of the Russian troops is in force, continues. No crucial changes on Seversk direction, at least I did not see any reports on that, and Russian troops actively shelling positions of the Kyiv regime in Pokrovsk, in Kupiansk sector of the frontliner, which is once again can be seen as an indicator that the Russian armed forces may start sectoral scale offensive operation in Kupiansk direction on eastern flank of Kharkov region at any time. And when it comes to this northern part of Kharkov region, no changes are here in Volchansk Lipsy area. Although, by the way, we have significant changes in temporarily occupied by Kyiv regime and NATO mercenaries, this Kursk salient. Russian troops established full control over the Borky settlement, liberated Borky settlement from invaders. And if you take a look at the map, by the way, it is becoming clear that this salient is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking as time goes by, and Russian troops are very close now, as I mentioned it yesterday, to basically divide this invading force into 2 or maybe even 3 smaller groups and then deal with them separately. Kyiv regime continues to try to slow down Russian counter-terrorist operation by sending on suicidal operations its reserve troops on the western side of Kursk salient. There are 2 areas where Kyiv regime's formations were spotted. In this direction, in Obuchovka area, Kyiv regime's invading force were decimated, and some sources are reporting now that Kyiv regime also send troops in direction of Medvezhye and Glushkova, and there was an armored group of Kyiv regime spotted in this area, and at least several vehicles were destroyed. I saw video of that, and I guess yet again I don't think this was a well planned operation, because these Kyiv regime formations were moving through the fields, by the way, in daylight, and of course Russian troops spotted this movement, and it was not difficult, not as difficult for Russian forces to neutralize these invading armored groups, especially for drone operators. They hunt down that armored group. Although this don't mean that Kyiv regime will not send on these suicidal operations additional troops. Probably Kyiv regime will, and there are another several hundred or maybe even several thousand of Kyiv regime's troops will find their last stand on this borderline on the western side of Pokrovsk salient. Initiative, of course, in Russian hands, and as I said, by the way, Pokrovsk salient is becoming a graveyard for strategical reserves of the Kyiv regime, and as I said from very beginning, this invasion of the Russia's Kursk region was and is beginning of the end of Kyiv regime's armed forces as a more or less capable entity, and also Kyiv regime itself, and I will add Ukraine. This was and is the beginning of the end of Ukraine also, as we knew it, because obviously Kyiv regime's forces will not recover after such a defeat that they're experiencing now in Kursk salient. They lost last more or less battle capable brigades, by the way. Okay, that's been said. I will just mention, dear friends, that there are military channels up there that are providing much greater volume of detailed information on the changes on the battlefield, and if you are interested in details, of course I recommend those channels. And if you are not familiar, if you are new to alternative media and not familiar with military channels or channels that are providing greater analytics on major developments worldwide, including Ukraine crisis, then under this video in description box there are dozens of channels, and you can see there are military channels including military summary, also, by the way, channels of Duran, obviously leading voice in alternative media, and channels, links to the channels of Alex Christoforou and Alexander Mercouris, that are providing us public with great analytics, with great information content. That's been said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with breaking news, I guess, worldwide, which is that there was a, seems like, second attempt of assassination on Trump. Yesterday, there was a shooting right next to a golf club where Trump was, I guess, playing the golf, and U.S. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene commented straight away on her X page, or formerly Twitter, that there was yet another assassination attempt on Trump. Son of Trump also commented on that, and he said that this criminal or terrorist, I should say, was arrested. He had AK-47. AK-47 was found on a place from which this shooter was, firing, and he is in custody now. This shooter is in custody, and his identity is already known. And this guy, this criminal, basically is obsessed. Seems like obsessed with Ukraine. Man behind the botched assassination attempt against Donald Trump at his Florida golf club has been identified as Ryan Weasley Roth by multiple media reports, citing anonymous law enforcement sources. Authorities have yet to officially confirm the suspect's identity. The incident occurred on Sunday afternoon while the former US president and Republican nominee was playing golf at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach. A Secret Service agent apparently spotted the rifle barrel sticking through the resort's fence and fired several rounds at the threat. The suspect fled the scene, leaving behind AK-style rifle with their scope and GoPro camera, but was later arrested. And this suspect, by the way, is, as media is reporting, obsessed kind of with Ukraine. And according to ABC, law enforcement agencies are now studying if there is any connection between this terrorist and Ukraine. If his motivation was connected with Ukraine, or maybe he was directed from Ukraine, because, dear friends, there are plenty of videos on internet with this criminal, and let's go to some of them. This is the guy, by the way, and he was kind of, I don't know, media personality. He was interviewed quite often. For example, Newsweek Romania interviewed attempted Trump assassin Ryan Ruth in 2022 regarding his efforts to recruit mercenaries to fight in Ukraine. Also, by the way, this criminal appeared in that's the criminal. This attempted Trump assassin Ryan Ruth appeared in a propaganda video for Ukraine's neo-Nazi Azov battalion, also in May 2022. So yes, he is connected with Ukraine. Look what he was writing to Tulsi Gabbard, for example. You are an idiot. This Ryan Ruth was writing to Tulsi Gabbard. Why don't you go and join Putin and Trump and be their third leg? So, I mean, you can clearly see attitude of this criminal towards not just Tulsi Gabbard, or Russian president, but also towards Trump. So he is clearly influenced by this neoliberal propaganda in the US, when they are trying to portray Trump as some sort of Russian asset or something. And look at these pictures, by the way. NCA whistleblower Edward Snowden questions US intelligence agencies over second Trump attempted shooters Ukraine connections. It is hard to imagine these White House agencies can claim zero contact, clean hands, something of an Oswald vibe here. Congress should get her answers, Snowden said on X. And there were many questions, by the way, many questions when it comes to connections of these assassins to Kyiv regime or Ukraine. One should keep in mind that during the recent assassination attempt on Fico, by the way, Prime Minister of Slovakia, assassin, this criminal who opened fire and wounded Prime Minister of Slovakia, was also active member of this pro-Ukrainian crowd, and probably was manipulated or directed by Kyiv regime's secret services or US secret services. Right? That's my understanding of the situation, by the way. So it seems like what I have said many times before, by the way, is becoming the truth. And this rabid dog that the Western ruling elites created, Western ruling class created in Ukraine as a regime, this rabid dog is now biting back on its masters. And this is just the beginning. Western collective West will learn hard way. Will learn hard way that they should never ever support Nazis and their mass murderers and the terrorists. And they have no idea what is about to come from these Ukrainian Nazis and the terrorists. But yet again, I think it is highly probable that these assassination attempts on Trump, by the way, are led by CIA. Let's be clear. It's a deep state. It's a CIA intelligence community that wants to get rid of Trump for whatever reason, by the way. Trump has its own support from some very influential forces in the US, but seems like they are not on the same page with the CIA, with the deep state, with the neolib and their propaganda, and therefore there is clearly some sort of civil war is going on there among US elites. And I mean, it is clear to me personally that these assassinations on Trump are led by CIA. I blame CIA, by the way, for that. Although, of course, it is possible that Kyiv regime secret service is also being used by CIA to direct these attacks, so that CIA will maintain some sort of plausible deniability in its hands, so that they can always blame, you know what, this is Kyiv regime, not us, or something like that, like they did with the Nord Stream pipelines, by the way. CIA and Pentagon created this doji group in Ukraine, right? Set up basically those idiots so that who had their order to blow up these pipelines, and they never could do this, but group was set up. This group was traced, and when CIA and Pentagon, together with their most likely Polish secret services or militaries, also Norway's involvement, they blew up these pipelines, and now they have someone to blame for that. That doji group from citizens of Ukraine that was from very beginning was created exactly for that only purpose to then be blamed for this largest industrial terrorist attack in humanity's history that US conducted, basically, together with a number of other NATO member states on Nord Stream pipelines. So that's the strategy that they are using, and they are too stupid. Let's be clear, by the way. Level of intelligence among Western ruling class is so low. Level of intelligence and ability of complex thinking is so low among CIA analysts and CIA leadership in general that they are reading. They can be read, by the way, easily. They are just a bunch of low intellect criminals, and only reason why they are capable to pull off some tricks is because of money that they have and their political influence of the Washington. That's it. But intellectually, CIA is just it's full of intellectually bankrupt individuals. Anyways, by the way, I wonder what our friends from US think about this situation. Do they think this is just random individuals are one day waking up and deciding that they're gonna kill Trump, or maybe this is organized by some forces? Share your opinion on in the comment section. But anyways, let's continue with some other news now. Trump is safe, by the way. He is okay. He is not harmed, but I guess this is not the last time that his life was threatened, because these forces that want him gone probably aren't stopping. RIA Novosti is reporting that, according to Russia's foreign intelligence service, Kyiv regime and its Western puppets, and it's that's quite interesting. Yes, I mean, one may think, whose puppet? Is Kyiv regime puppet of the Western ruling class, or Western ruling class is a puppet of the Kyiv regime because of these hundreds of billions of money that were already spent formally on Kyiv regime? But okay, jokes aside, of course, Western ruling class is in charge, and Russia's foreign intelligence agency shared with public today information that Kyiv regime, with active cooperation with its Western masters, secret services of the US and a number of other countries, UK obviously, plans to conduct false flag operation. So they will target civilian object, most likely or highly likely. They will target civilian infrastructure, where maybe kindergarten or school, and they will do this in a way that there will be huge number of casualties, and they want this terrorist attack used as a justification for the Western ruling class to lift whatever restrictions they have on strikes deep inside the Russian territory with the Western weapons from Ukraine. So I will translate this news, by the way, to be more precise, because our topic is, of course, very important. So Kyiv, at the instigation of the US curators or US masters, is preparing a provocation with the staged Russian missile strike on the Children's Institution with the numerous casualties. The Press Bureau of Foreign Intelligence Service of the Russian Federation reported, according to information received by SVR, the leadership of the special services and the military command of the Kyiv regime, at their instigation of the US curators, so US on the instigation of the US masters, and I guess CIA is obviously involved in this planning, in this false flag operation, are working on scenario for yet another inhuman provocation. It is planned to stage a a Russian missile strike on a children's institution on Kyiv-controlled territory, a hospital or kindergarten, with a large number of casualties, the special service specified. Also, by the way, to continue, SVR added that Kyiv is planning extensive media coverage of this tragedy with the involvement of leading international media, obviously, and then this will be used. This will be used to justify. So according to the department, according to SVR, the Ukrainian leadership wants to use this provocation to boost the morale of the Ukrainian armed forces, justify the West lifting of restrictions on the use of missiles to strike targets deeper in Russian territory, and attract support from countries of the global south. So false flag operation is in planning, by the way, and where we are talking about Kyiv regime and its Western masters. And of course, we have to mention CIA and MI6, biggest and most powerful terrorist organizations, unfortunately. Biggest and most powerful terrorist organizations right now in the world. Of course, nothing can be ruled out. Absolutely nothing. They are capable of any atrocities. Any atrocities, by the way. Even those that you cannot even imagine. That's how disgraceful all the individuals that are operating in CIA and MI6 are. And that's how disgraceful Western ruling class is. They are disgrace of humanity. So this is obviously this statement from Russian Foreign Intelligence Service is of course preventive measure. Moscow wants to inform entire world that this provocation is planned. So if Washington and London and their puppets in Kyiv will go ahead with this or similar provocation, world will know what is happening. Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that, well, on topic of these long-range strikes deep inside the Russian territory, the so-called diplomat, by the way, top diplomat of EU, Josep Borrell, criticized basically restrictions on strikes deep inside the Russian territory with the Western weapon systems. So these so-called diplomats want war, by the way. He's calling for war, direct war between NATO and Russia, isn't it? Because if he wants these direct strikes to happen, then that means there will be war, direct war between the two sides. And what kind of diplomat this criminal really is then? You tell me. Right? And Moscow was very clear, by the way, that Russia don't cares about Western propaganda. And Moscow knows perfectly well that it's not about allowing Kyiv regime to strike deep inside the Russian territory with the Western weapons, because no way Kyiv will manage to do so, because they lack necessary capabilities, including satellite navigation, including targeting data and so on. Only way these long-range strikes might take place is if NATO member states are directly involved. So it's NATO strikes on Russia, not Kyiv regime strikes. And if anything like that will happen, Moscow will retaliate. Moscow was very clear about it. And still, by the way, Borrell, this so-called diplomat, top diplomat in EU, is criticizing these restrictions on strikes. So he wants direct war between Russia and NATO, it seems like, right? So I mean, citizens of EU member states should really start worry about future of their own countries, because if Western ruling class is pushing towards this nuclear disaster, then I mean, we're all gonna die, guys. We're just all gonna die. That's what is going to happen, right? I have no illusions, by the way, that in nuclear exchange if it comes to full-scale confrontation, and I hope it will never happen. But if it does, then by the way, we are finished. All of us, entire humanity. So that's towards what these criminals, by the way, in the collective West are pushing this world. You know, unbelievable, man, unbelievable. I mean, I truly hope societies in the West will wake up because I mean, it is crazy, man, what is happening, truly. But anyways, let's continue with the news. TASS news agency is reporting that Russian armed forces liberated Borky settlement in the Kursk region. I already spoke about it and show the settlement itself. RT is reporting that yesterday, by the way, according to defense minister's report, Russian air defense systems, Russian armed forces, because I'm not quite sure it was just air defense systems or maybe it was air-to-air dogfight, but two Ukrainian Su-27 and one Su-29. I guess this is a mistake on part of RT. There is no such a thing as Su-29. MiG-29 obviously was destroyed. Some mechanical mistake here. So yes, yesterday Russian Defense Ministry reported about destruction of two Su-27 fighter jets of the Kyiv regime and one MiG-29. And dear friends, I know always many members of our community are asking questions. How many planes of this type Kyiv regime has left? And I just don't know. I don't know, dear friends. There was a huge stockpile of old planes, isn't it, in Ukraine? And during the Soviet era, there was hundreds of those planes based there in Ukraine. And I guess with the active support of NATO member states, many planes of this type were transferred to Kyiv-controlled territory from worldwide. Whenever NATO member states could buy those planes, they were buying it and then sending to Kyiv regime. And also, there was also a huge stockpile of these retired planes of this type in Ukraine. And I guess with active support of NATO engineers, a significant number of those planes were returned to service. And that's why this is a huge, overall, Russian forces had to destroy quite a big number of these planes that Kyiv regime was operating with. And we are talking about hundreds of those planes right now. And RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian armed forces destroyed yet another military echelon, military train, basically with their latest deliveries of their Western military equipment on it, which is great news, by the way. Reports are that Russian armed forces use Kinzhal missiles to conduct these strikes, although any missile will do the job, I guess. Main point is that this echelon with their Western military equipment was destroyed. Also, by the way, RIA Novosti is reporting that there were protests in Gagauzia, which is a part of Moldova right now, but I guess not for long. And people of Gagauzia were protesting against pro-Western stance of the Chisinau, capital of Moldova. And Gagauzia, by the way, is this is Moldova, former Soviet Republic, and before that, territory of Romania, by the way. And yes, Gagauzia is located on southern eastern side of this republic. And local politicians were very clear that if Chisinau continues to operate under orders of the West, and if Chisinau continues integration with the EU and NATO, then most likely Gagauzia will declare its independence, and that's what is going to happen, by the way. I believe Moldova will be divided into several pieces. This is right. This is even historically, I guess, right approach, because significant number of Moldavians see themselves as Romanians, and they want to become to join Romania, basically. And I guess territories where majority Moldavians are for joining Romania, those territories will eventually become under Romanian control. But there are other territories also where people don't see themselves as Romanians. For example, Gagauz people definitely are not Romanians. They are only Christian people, by the way, in the Turkic-speaking world. And then they clearly not see themselves as Moldavians. Also, there are huge number of Russian speakers that ethnically might be Moldavians or Romanians, but they don't want to become a part of Romania. They want keep closer ties with Russia or to maintain independence of Moldova. And therefore, due to this struggle of different groups inside Moldova and also foreign influence, at some point, of course, Moldova most likely will be divided, and one part will join Romania, and the other part, Gagauzia, Transnistria, which has declared independence decades ago, and some other territories most likely will lean towards Russia, and who knows, maybe eventually will join Russian Federation. That is also a possibility. So yes, people in Gagauzia are not happy with the Western interference in Moldova's internal life, political life, and this protest will have far-reaching consequences. RIA Novosti is reporting also that from hostile nations towards Russia, seems like France is most dependent when it comes to imports of Russian enriched uranium, which is quite interesting, by the way. And surprising to me. This information comes as a somewhat surprise, because French companies are also trying to compete with Russia when it comes to building nuclear power stations worldwide, right? And one might think then in that case France will have had reliable sources of uranium, including enriched uranium, but it's not the case, especially now when French quite effectively was kicked out of Sahel region of Africa. And France is losing big time on the world stage, which is not surprising, by the way, when you have presidents like Sarkozy, Hollande, or current one. What is the name of this clown that calls himself president of France? Holy shit, I forgot, man. Macron, yes. So when Republic has such a so-called presidents like Sarkozy, Hollande, and Macron, what you expect, man? What you expect? Of course, France is losing big time on the world stage, and they will continue to lose until French people will re-elect true patriots of the Fifth Republic, who will base its policies on national interests of the citizens of France, when France truly becomes a republic again, or independent again, let's say. Right now, unfortunately, France looks like just another client state of Washington and London, nothing more. Which is unfortunate, by the way, because we are talking about France. I mean, great country, great nation with their unbelievable history, including history of fight, history of struggle for human rights, for republican values, and so on. And now this republic has turned into client state. It's a sad story, though. But yes, yes, when it comes to news itself, by the way, it seems like in last 1.5 years, France brought about 60% of enriched uranium from Russia. And among top among other countries, top countries that are buying Russian enriched uranium. There is also Germany, which is also surprising because, as far as I understand, Germany wants to get rid of all nuclear power stations, which is a huge mistake in my opinion, but it's up to German people to decide, really. So Germany was buying significant volumes of Russian enriched uranium, also South Korea, and of course United States, by the way. And this is not surprising to me. I know United States heavily relies on Russian enriched uranium, but maybe some members of our community did not know about it. But yes, it is the case. US is one of the biggest buyers of Russian uranium. And this information is especially important right now because just a couple of days ago, Russian president, I believe, spoke about imposing some restrictions on export of enriched uranium, on exports of uranium, nickel, and titanium, right? And yes, this is if Moscow will go ahead with this initiative, and some restrictions will be imposed, I guess number of countries, especially hostile ones towards Russia, gonna start experience some significant difficulties in nuclear energy sector, also in industrial sector, because I mean nickel and titanium are used, of course, by many industries. So let's see. But it is interesting, by the way, that yes, France is number one among hostile nations towards Russia when it comes to purchases of enriched uranium. And dear friends, I will end this update on this very interesting news also, that Visa registers new trademark in Russia, which is yes, somewhat surprising also. So multinational payment card service corporation Visa has filed a request in Russia to register 2 trademarks, prompting speculations about potential return of the California headquartered company to their country's market. The filings were spotted this week by local media on Russia's Federal Service for Intellectual Property register. The trademarks include a classic blue Visa logo and its variants, adorned with yellow and blue stripes. While the development has prompted rumors of looming return of the company into the Russian market, there was no official information readily available on the potential move. So yes, I mean, I don't think Visa or MasterCard will come back to Russian market anytime soon, but we are clearly seeing some trend here when a number of major companies in this world are registering in Russia trademarks, which may be indicator that these companies are working on the plans to come back on Russian markets sometime in the future, maybe with some branches of those companies with new brands. But in any case, I guess in terms of Visa and this financial companies in financial sector or banking sector in the West, they know perfectly well, by the way, that BIGS is about to announce creation of the alternative financial and banking system, and they want some share in that. They know BRICS member states and basically entire world, with the exception of Western collective West, will eventually join this new club. And the money will go through these alternative payment systems, alternative financial and banking systems, and Western businesses want to be part of it. Although, if it was up to me, I will not allow them to come back. I will not allow Visa or MasterCard to come back on Russian market. And if it was up to me, if even SWIFT tomorrow will say, you know what, we're gonna reconnect Russian banks to our payment system, I will say, you know what? No, I will prohibit Russian banks to join SWIFT. We don't need you. That's what I would do if I was in decision-making position, because Russia don't really needs Western financial and banking system. We are under sanctions for how long now? And no Russian bank is connected with the SWIFT, by the way. But somehow we survived, isn't it? And we will continue to do so. So yes, alternative financial and banking system is on its way, and not at all surprising that the Western companies want to be part of it, at least partially, so that they will make a good buck, but they should not be allowed, by the way. They're gonna play a role of Trojan horse. So therefore, they should kept aside. They cannot be trusted. All those companies that left Russia because of the ideology and orders from their Western so-called elites, all those companies should never ever be allowed back to Russia, in my opinion. They cannot be trusted. They betray their customers, right? So they cannot be allowed back, in my personal opinion. Okay, this is it for now. This is it for now. New companies or companies that are never left, I mean, well done, but all those giants that act on ideology and betrayed Russian customers, they should kept out of Russia forever. And this is it for now, dear friends. Relatively long update, but hopefully you will find it informative, interesting, and useful. And because my second updates from now on gonna be on my Patreon and Boosty page, I guess it does make sense to make first updates on Patreon and Boost on YouTube and Rumble as informative as possible. So they're long. They will be bigger updates, but I hope you like it. I hope you will find this update interesting, useful, informative, and so please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything, any topic will do, to at least try and influence algorithm, which is crushing, by the way, my channel and my videos big time, especially on YouTube, by the way. But anyways, if you can, please share information about my channel with your friends in real life, or maybe on a platform that you're actively using on the internet. And finally, if you like my work, if you like my channels, if you think we deserve to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with donations through PayPal or Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon or Boosty pages. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now, and see you tomorrow to our bigger community, and later on today, as I said, second update on my Patreon and Boosty page. Bye.